The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hi folks, today on Aging Horizons we're going to be having an important discussion on winter driving. You know, every year we have a great guest, Mike Anderson, who comes to talk to us about staying safe on the roads and making sure that we're prepared if anything were to happen to us. We have so much information to share with you because we want you to know and be safe. So stay tuned.
Final call from Flight 566.
Hello, gentlemen. May I see your Montana Real IDs?
IDs? Why, I'm Captain Meriwether Lewis.
And I'm Captain William Clark.
Hang on, I see more than one William Clark.
It's the real me, I promise.
Discover more at mtrealid.gov. Available now.
Montana Real ID. It's the real me.
And me.
Montanans are independent. We're also responsible, protective, and committed to our families and communities. That's why we've done so well against COVID-19. As we open up, we've got to keep doing what we do best. And it starts with each and every one of us, protecting public health in the 406 for our families, friends, and neighbors. We all have to do our part. Montanans get that. And we've got this.
I was angry and upset when the doctor told me I have diabetes. I just didn't want to deal with it, the needles and the diet restrictions. But after I started to learn about it, those feelings changed. I was at risk for a heart attack caused by high blood sugar. That got my attention. I started watching my diet and making sure I got enough exercise every day. I want to be around for my grandkids, and now that I know what to do, it seems like a small price to pay.
Ask your doctor about diabetes education or visit montana211.org.
In 20 years at an electric utility, I've seen the hardships many of our neighbors face with high winter heating bills.
Ross Holter, Flathead Electric Co-op.
That's why I donate to Energy Share of Montana. I just hate the thought of senior citizens, and young kids especially, being cold in the winter. Donate to Energy Share. Help your neighbor stay warm.
To donate, call 888-779-7589 or go to EnergyShareMT.com. Energy Share, you can help your neighbor stay warm.
Hello everyone and welcome to Aging Horizons, brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services. I'm your host, Kimmy Everman, and like I said in the open, we're going to talk about winter driving today. It's November, it's cold, it's getting wet and maybe a little snowy, and we need to have our best foot forward. We need to have the right tools, we need to have our vehicles maintained and ready for the winter season, and we just need to know that we're prepared. If anything happens to us out in the middle of nowhere, that we're prepared and we have something to keep us safe. Today with us is one of our favorite guests, Mike Anderson. Mike, hi, welcome. Nice to have you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Kimmy.
Certainly. And Mike is with, he's a loss prevention specialist, and he's with the Montana Department of Administration and is quite the guru on this. We call on him every year because we love what he has to tell us. And Mike, let's just dive right in. You know, one of the biggies is sort of the prep work and the pre-maintenance or the pre-work that you need to do to even be ready for the winter driving season, right?
Anything that you're working with really to have a good outcome is how you start, right?
Right.
And so with winter driving, let's talk about maintenance first, okay?
Sure.
This is the perfect time of year to start to look at your car to make sure that it's ready for the winter season. One thing that you can do is you can take it to a shop. You can have the oil changed, ask them to check the radiator, the antifreeze, not only the level, but the concentration of the antifreeze. You can have them check the belts, your windshield wiper fluids, check the battery. Now, in the summertime, this is kind of tricky because in the summertime, your battery might work just fine. But the first time it gets cold, it's dead.
Yep.
Okay, and it will strand you in your driveway. So have them check that to make sure that that battery will have enough power when it is cold. Some of the other things that you want to look at that people sometimes forget is windshield wipers. Here in Montana, for some reason, windshield wipers only last about 6 months. So please get those checked. And there are summer wipers and there are winter wipers.
Oh.
So please look at that and make sure that you're grabbing the appropriate ones and get those changed out, because that really affects your vision. Beyond that, another thing I'd like you to look at is the tires. Go to a tire shop, have them look at your tires, make sure that the pressures are appropriate. And the tread depth is appropriate. We recommend no less than 6 30 seconds if you're going to be driving in snow and ice. If you're going to be driving on wet roads, we recommend a minimum of 4 30 seconds. And everybody, if your tires are at 2 30 seconds, you need to get rid of them. You need to get some new tires. So when you're looking at new tires, there are several different types of tires. There are summer tires. There are all-season tires. Most vehicles come from the factory with an all-season tire.
Oh.
And there are winter tires. And so you can make that choice, get an all-season or a winter tire to put on your car. If you get a winter tire, we recommend that you also buy another set of wheels. Now, I know that's expensive, but it's much easier to change in the spring and the fall. Because the thing is, you don't want to drive winter tires in the summer because they wear out very quickly.
Right.
Because they're a softer rubber.
Right.
That's what makes them good in the wintertime on the snow.
Mike, what about studs? Because I know studded tires are legal in Montana. I don't think they are in every state. What do you think about that as a safety measure?
You know, a lot of people still use studded tires. And for some applications, they absolutely make sense. If you live in the mountains and you have a dirt driveway that's going up a hill, those are probably your best bet. If you're just in town driving, honestly, a good winter tire will work better.
Yeah.
And it's actually safer on dry pavement. Because if you think about it, we've all heard studded tires coming down the street, right?
Yes.
Well, think about that. Your car is riding on metal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So if you need to make an emergency stop, you're going to slide on those studs.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's Montana state statute that you need to have those taken off by May 1st of every year.
Sure. What about, tires is a big issue, Mike. And so let's say a person, because you just went through a big list of different things. What if a person just really doesn't know what to pick? Who would you say they should talk to?
Well, you can, if you have a mechanic that normally does your work, go see them.
Okay.
If you don't, you can go to some of the oil change places and just tell them, I want it checked out for winter time, and they'll do a little extra. Now, an oil place usually doesn't look at the battery, and that's really a big thing that you want to look at this time of year.
Sure.
And so you may have to go to another store that sells batteries to get them to actually check that for you.
Well, and I know, we just have a few seconds left here. I know that I go to the same shop every year to have my tires changed out, and it's lovely, and they help out, and if they can't help me, they tell me where I need to go to get that help. So, folks, as Mike said, a huge piece of this is the prep. We want to make sure we're prepared and ready. Stay tuned, we have a whole lot more.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
Here in Montana, we love our outdoor activities. Unfortunately, few of them are risk-free. Indeed, Montana is second in the nation per capita in head injuries that can destroy the lives of people we love. That's why you should insist your family always wear protective helmets. But you can do even more. When you fill out your vehicle registration this year, circle the Y and donate $1 to support traumatic brain injury prevention and education. Now that's using the old noggin.
This is Bill. He just received his new Medicare card and is following some simple rules to protect himself from fraud. He knows to never give out his Medicare, Social Security, or bank number over the phone. And this is Nancy. She knows that to detect any problems, she always reads her Medicare summary notice or Medicare Advantage EOB to make sure the billing is correct. Both Bill and Nancy know that anything suspicious can be reported to Montana SMP at 1-800-551-3191.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons. I'm Kimmy Everman, your host, and we are talking about winter driving and winter survival driving for sure with one of our favorite guests, Mike Anderson from the Department of Administration. Mike, it's so great to have you here. You always bring such great information for us.
Thank you, Kimmy. I love doing your show.
Oh, good. We were talking in the last segment, Mike, about the preparation that we need to go through in order to have safety when we're winter driving. Okay, so we're getting closer. We're about to take the trip. What do we do? Because there's a little prep with that as well.
There is. And once you get your car up to the point that you think it's ready to handle winter driving, then when it comes that time to go on a trip, say to Billings, what I want you to do is think about that trip. I want you to check the weather. Montana is a big state, and you guys know this. We might be having stellar weather here, but it might be the storm of the century in Billings.
Right.
Okay? So what I want you to do, there are several different ways to check the weather. Watch the news. Just be aware of what's coming. You can dial 511. It's kind of an antiquated system, but it's still active with MDT. You can actually go to MDT's website and look at it'll show you a map of every road in the state and what the condition is and whether it's opened or closed or construction or delays, anything like that. You can also, there is an app on your phone that you can download to your smartphone, and it does the same thing. You tell it where you're going, and it'll show you those roads. So figure out that the roads that it's safe for you to go, because honestly, the best defense in winter driving is don't go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
If the roads are bad, don't put yourself out there.
Right.
So please make sure that the roads are fine. Before you leave the driveway, make sure that your car is completely free of snow. How many times have we seen those people driving down the road with 2 feet of snow on top of their car, right? And they got just a little bit of room. They look out the windshield. Unbelievably dangerous.
Yes.
So make sure that you get all of the snow off of your car, clean your windows so that you have the best visibility that you can have. Once you get on the road, winter driving is all about traction. And we think about, we take traction for granted in the summertime because you have hot tires, you have hot pavement, everything just sticks to the road right? In the wintertime, it's still all about traction, but you just have less of it. Okay? And so if you get into that mindset, that will help you drive.
Okay.
Right? You have to do everything slower. You have to do everything more deliberately. You can't make any quick movements or your tires will lose traction.
Sure.
If you lose traction, then the car goes where it wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So if you find yourself in a skid, I want to talk about skid control just a little bit.
Okay.
If you find yourself in a skid, the first thing that you want to do is let off the gas. The second thing you want to do is do not hit the brake. Okay? That's the hardest thing to do, is to not hit the brake.
Yep.
Okay? So the third thing is look at where you want to be. If your car is sideways, look where you want to be and turn the wheel to get there.
Okay.
Okay? No gas, no brake. Look where you want to go, turn the wheel to get there. The car will straighten itself out. Mm-hmm. But you have to be calm to do this.
Right.
Most people get scared and they hit the brake and they slide into the ditch.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And so, again, it's all about just planning your trip, understanding the theory of traction on ice, obviously slow down. Just because the speed limit is 80 on the interstate, if it's snow and ice, we obviously don't want to be going 80 miles an hour.
Right.
In fact, I have been on I-90 going 35 miles an hour based on the weather.
Sure.
And, that could be completely appropriate. When you're traveling in the wintertime, always allow yourself more time.
Right.
Because it might take you 5 or 6 hours to get to Billings instead of 4.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Yeah, Mike, I think your comments about traction are very important. And also, I really liked what you said about taking more deliberate actions and keeping everything very deliberate. Because, for one thing, I think that helps a person stay calmer and more in control. They feel more in control, and I think that it might get them through one of the, because that skid you were talking about, I think we've all gone through that, and we do want to hit the brake right away. And so if you are thinking to take other deliberate actions, maybe you'll be safer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Mike, this has been so much good information. And folks, again, let's talk about the prep we need to be sure that we're going to be safe, be sure that we're going to make others safe, because it isn't just us out there on the road. There are others all around us in their own cars. We're going to talk a little bit about the materials that you should be carrying in your car all winter long. In the event that you do have a breakdown or something happens that you need to stay with your car for a little while. We have a lot more to tell you about, and we want you to hear it straight from us, so stay tuned.
I was outside working on some equipment, nothing too strenuous. I started sweating and feeling out of breath.
When he felt pressure in his chest and aching in his arms, I knew we had to call 911.
First responders were there before we knew it. 38 minutes later, the doctors had restored the blood flow to my heart.
Now we know dialing 911 saved his life.
Your life is on the line.
This message sponsored by Mission Lifeline Montana.
I take care of my wife at home. When I found out training was available, I said, sign me up. It's made a huge difference.
When my husband was injured at work, it was life-altering. The classes taught me that it's okay to grieve, to ask for help, and to better cope as a caregiver.
My dad lives 4 hours away, and the Powerful Tools classes taught me that it's okay to ask for help. I highly recommend them.
To find out about this course for caregivers, go to powerfultoolsforcaregivers.org.
It's amazing the difference a little training can make.
Out here, we love our animals.
From the wildlife to the livestock, inside, it's the same. They're just like family. We keep them happy and healthy, most of the time. Secondhand smoke puts pets at risk for cancer, feline lymphoma, vomiting, increases the risk of tumors and lung cancer, even causes eye and skin disease. Secondhand smoke puts your pet's life at risk.
I think the most pleasant surprise when we turned 65 and signed up for Medicare Part B was finding out about our Welcome to Medicare preventive visit.
It was free, and it gave us the opportunity to visit with our doctors and establish a plan for our health going forward.
They reviewed our medical history, measured our height, weight, blood pressure, and counseled us on other risk factors.
To learn more about Medicare's free or low-cost preventive and wellness benefits, call your local SHIP counselor at 800-551-3191. I mentioned it's free, right?
Twice.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're here talking about winter driving, safe winter driving today, and our guest is Mike Anderson from Department of Administration. Mike, good to have you with us again, as always.
Thank you.
All right, so Mike, I'm thinking as we're talking about all these different things, it's the middle of the night, it's the middle of the winter, and I'm on my way to Scobie and my car breaks down, and I don't know what to do. Do I leave it? Do I stay? Should I have stuff in my car to help me in a situation like that?
Absolutely, you should. Absolutely. A couple of different scenarios. You could be on the road and break down. And then the car's not able to run. That presents a little bit different problems than just being stranded. One of which is you don't have any heat, right? So you need to have a survival kit. I carry a survival kit in a paint can. Okay. Some of the things that are in the paint can, probably the most important in that scenario that you just talked about, is a candle.
Oh, sure.
Okay. This particular candle will last will burn for about 2 days.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
And what you can do is you take the top of the paint can and you set the candle on it so that you have a hot plate, and then you can burn this candle and it will provide light and it will provide heat for your vehicle.
Super.
Okay? Some of the other things you should carry with you in the kit are matches.
Okay.
These work really well and they're really cheap. These are those hand warmers.
Sure, yeah.
Chemical hand warmers. You should carry some food. Okay. Yep. These are just energy bars.
Okay.
Okay. Make sure that you rotate these out once in a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Always have some gloves. Now, when you leave the house, you should have gloves with you anyway. You should have a full coat. You should have good boots. How many times do you see? I don't mean to pick on women, but you see women in their high heel shoes traveling in the winter.
Yep.
Now, that's not a good thing, right?
Right.
Have your snow boots with you.
Right.
Have snow pants if possible. A good coat, a hat, a scarf, and gloves. Okay. I carry these. These are not warm gloves. These are work gloves. If I need to get out and do something on the car, I use these.
Yeah.
Because for one thing, I will tell you, they have a sticky palm.
Yeah, I was going to say they look like they'd have a better grip.
Yep. And so even if it's wet, it has a very good grip.
Okay.
Okay. And if I get these wet, I don't care.
Okay.
Right? Because as soon as I get back in the car, I take them off and I have my good gloves, my good winter gloves with me.
Okay.
Okay. And I want to save these. I want to keep these dry because it's all about being cold.
Right,
you know?
right. And it's optimum that you stay dry so that you don't get cold.
Right. Yeah. You want to avoid hypothermia.
Right.
And honestly, if you get wet, it'll draw the heat right out of your body.
Okay.
One of the things that you should carry is a first aid kit.
Okay.
Okay. I carry this one. It's a little more advanced than some. I also carry this. This is an aluminum shovel. Okay? It folds out and you can dig yourself out, possibly.
You know, Gary or Mike, you've talked about that before, and I have one in my trunk now. One of those little shovels.
Okay.
My husband
How
tries
about a
to steal
blanket?
it from me.
This blanket I have in my kit, not to stay warm. I have this one in my kit to put down on the ground on top of the snow in case I need to work on the vehicle.
Sure.
And what I mean by that is this becomes a barrier between me and the snow. Because like today, I'm wearing blue jeans. If I get those blue jeans wet, what's going to happen?
Right.
Hypothermia. Right? So this becomes a barrier between me and that. If I need to change a tire or do some work on the vehicle, always put this down first.
Okay.
There's a number of different things that you should have with you. You know, I've got also a kit here, you know, that has jumper cables, screwdrivers, pliers, an adjustable wrench. Just some bungee straps, a roll of wire. It's amazing what you can do with just the simplest tools to get a vehicle back on the road, to get back into town, to limp you back into town.
Because that's really all we need is to get you someplace safe where you can get the help you need.
Absolutely. And I will tell you this, if you are stranded, please do not leave your vehicle.
You know, we just have a minute left. Mike, let's talk about that because that's so important.
It really is. Do not leave your vehicle.
Right.
As a former emergency responder, I will tell you it is so much easier to find a vehicle than it is a person.
Right. You know, another thing too, you had suggested that folks keep the non-emergency highway patrol dispatch number in their cell phones, and we're going to run that across the screen now because really, almost everybody has a cell phone anymore, and that's your other resource is to call and make sure somebody knows you're there.
Absolutely. And one thing with the cell phone, everybody always takes their cell phone.
Yep.
But always remember to take a charger.
Yep. So I'm going to put a charger into my bucket. Well, thanks, Mike, so much. It was great having you here, as usual. And folks, remember, stay safe. Put the stuff in your trunk, forget it, and come back next time to Aging Horizons. Thank you.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.